in a small, bustling African village where gossip traveled fast in the wind and everyone knew when you sneezed. Even before you sneezed, there lived a man known to all as Babu Wema. Now, don't let the name fool you. Wema means kindness, but this man received very little of it. Babu was a beggar. He had no house, no shoes, not even a chicken to his name. His shirt was so torn it looked more like a fishing net than clothing. Every morning, while the roosters crowed and the goats bleated their greetings to the sun, Babu would shuffle to his usual spot on the side of the dusty road. That was his office. His job? Stretching his hands out and repeating the same line every single day. Please, good people, help a hungry old man. Some villagers would toss him a coin or hand him scraps of food. Others would roll their eyes and mutter, this man again? Why doesn't he get a job like everyone else? One woman once shouted, Babu, even my chicken lays eggs more useful than you. Babu, never one to miss a chance of humor, looked up and said, mama, at least your chicken has feathers. Look at me, even my shirt has flown away. The crowd burst into laughter, though some still shook their heads in pity. You see, despite his struggles, Babu had something most people didn't, a cheerful heart. No matter how hungry he was, he never let bitterness grow inside him. But deep down, Babu longed for more than laughter and survival. He dreamed of a better life, one where people would look at him with respect, not pity. A life where he wouldn't have to beg for his next meal. The night was unusually quiet in the village. The moon hung high in the sky, glowing like a silver drum, casting long, eerie shadows over the dusty road. Even the crickets seemed to sing in a softer tone, as though they, too, sensed that something unusual was about to happen. Under the ancient acacia tree near the edge of the village, Babu Wema lay sprawled across his wooden bench, his favorite bed. The bench creaked beneath his bony frame with every breath he took. Beside him sat his most prized possessions, an old tin cup, dented in so many places it looked like it had survived a war, a pair of worn-out sandals with more holes than the village gossip stories, and a half-empty gourd of water, which tasted more like tree bark than actual water. Babu let out a deep sigh and turned over, trying to get comfortable. He had spent the whole day begging under the scorching sun, shouting his famous line, Please, good people, help a hungry old man. But today, instead of coins, most people gave him insults and suspicious glares. One man had even chased him away with a broom, shouting, Go away, Babu. Even my goat works harder than you. As Babu lay there staring at the moon, he muttered bitterly, this life. Even the moon has a house in the sky, yet here I am, fighting mosquitoes on an empty stomach. He turned on his side and tried to sleep, but hunger made his belly growl so loudly that a passing dog stopped to investigate. Go away, you. Babu hissed, tossing a pebble at the dog. The dog barked once, as if to mock him, before trotting off. Just as he was about to drift into a light, miserable sleep, he heard footsteps. Slow, heavy, purposeful. They echoed through the stillness of night, growing louder and louder. Babu shot up wide-eyed, clutching his old tin cup, like a warrior ready for battle. Who goes there? He demanded, though his shaky voice betrayed his fear. I warn you, I know kung fu from a distance. The footsteps stopped. For a moment, there was silence, the kind that makes your heart pound like a drum. Then, from the shadows, a tall figure emerged. The man was dressed in gleaming white robes, so bright, they seemed to capture the moonlight and reflect it back. He carried a long walking stick, which glimmered faintly with each step, as if it were alive with some strange energy. Babu's mouth fell open. At first, he thought he was dreaming. Maybe hunger has finally finished me, he whispered to himself. First, my belly is empty. Now my eyes are full of ghosts. The mysterious man stopped a few feet away and stared at Babu. His eyes glowed faintly, calm yet powerful, and when he spoke, his voice was deep and commanding, like rolling thunder in the distance. Babu Wema, the man said slowly, why do you beg when you were born to be rich? Babu blinked rapidly, trying to process the words. He rubbed his eyes, then pinched himself hard. When the stranger didn't vanish, Babu let out a loud yelp. Rich? My friend, even my dreams are poor. The stranger chuckled, a low, mysterious laugh that sent shivers down Babu's spine. Listen carefully, the man said. Tomorrow morning, go to the river at sunrise. The first thing you see floating downstream, pick it up. It will change your life forever. Babu's jaw dropped. He leaned forward, squinting suspiciously. Wait, you mean like a stick? Or a dead fish? What if it's just an old shoe? The man smiled mysteriously, saying nothing. Babu scratched his bald head. And what if I see nothing at all? The stranger tilted his head slightly and replied in a calm, almost teasing tone. Then just keep begging forever. The word sent a chill down Babu's spine. The stranger's voice echoed in the air, lingering like smoke. Before Babu could ask another question, the man vanished. Just poof. Gone, like a candle snuffed out by the wind. Babu stared at the empty space where the man had stood, his tin cup still clutched tightly in his trembling hands. The only sound were the chirping of crickets and the soft rustling of the acacia tree leaves. His heart thudded wildly in his chest. He turned in a slow circle, scanning the darkness. "Hello," he called nervously. "Mr. Shiny Robes?" Don't disappear like that. It's rude." Babu sank back onto his bench, trembling. He rubbed his eyes, muttering to himself, "Either I am truly blessed or the hunger has finally made me start seeing ghosts." He lay back down, staring at the moonlit sky, his mind racing. Was this real, or just a cruel dream brought on by starvation? Finally, with a determined grunt, he sat up and declared, "Tomorrow I will go to that river. If I find something, my life will change. But if I see nothing, at least I'll have a good story to tell the other beggars." And with that, Babu pulled his tattered blanket tightly around him and tried, unsuccessfully, to fall asleep, his heart pounding with a mix of fear, hope, and wild imagination. Little did he know, this strange encounter would mark the beginning of the greatest adventure of his life. The first rays of dawn stretched lazily across the sky, painting it in streaks of gold and pink. The village was still quiet. Even the roosters, who normally acted as alarm clocks, were only just beginning to clear their throats for their morning performance. Meanwhile, Babu Wema was dragging his feet along the narrow, dusty path toward the riverbank. His eyes were heavy with sleep, and his stomach growled angrily, reminding him that he had gone to bed on an empty belly. He yawned so loudly that a passing bird flew off in fright. Clutching his old tin cup like a walking stick, he muttered complaints to himself with every step. This must be the most foolish thing I've ever done. Who wakes up before sunrise to chase floating objects? Maybe I should have stayed in my corner and begged. At least coins don't run away like fish. He stumbled over a tree root and almost fell face first into the mud. Straightening up, he shook his fist at the root as if it had personally insulted him. "Even the trees are against me today. What kind of mission is this?" Despite his grumbling, there was a tiny flicker of excitement in his heart. He couldn't stop thinking about the strange visitor from the previous night. The tall man in white robes, the glowing stick, the voice like thunder. It all felt like a dream. But what if it wasn't? "If this turns out to be a trick," he muttered, "I'll hunt that glowing man down, if my legs don't give up first." When Babu finally reached the riverbank, the sun was just peeking over the horizon. The water shimmered like liquid gold under the morning light, and mist rose gently from its surface. For a moment, Babu forgot his hunger and his grumbling. He stood there, hands on his knees, breathing heavily. Even if nothing magical happens, at least I got to see this beautiful sunrise," he said with a small smile. "Too bad you can't eat a sunrise." Just then, a sound caught his attention, a soft, rhythmic splashing. Babu squinted and shaded his eyes with one hand. At first, he thought it was just a piece of wood drifting downstream, but then something shiny glimmered on the water's surface. His heart skipped a beat. Could it be? No. Maybe it's just a fish wearing jewelry. He took a cautious step closer. The shiny object glimmered again, brighter this time, as though it were calling to him. Babu's breath caught in his throat. He crouched low, eyes wide. Ah, that is no fish. That looks like gold. Without thinking, Babu leapt into action. Literally. He splashed into the river with all the grace of a frightened goat. Cold water hit him like a slap, and he gasped. This water is colder than my ex-wife's heart. The current wasn't too strong, but it was enough to make the chase tricky. Babu thrashed about, his tattered clothes sticking to his thin body, as he tried to grab the mysterious object. Every time his fingers got close, the thing drifted just out of reach, almost as if it were teasing him. Ah, stop running, you stubborn piece of jewelry, he shouted, splashing wildly. Do you know who I am? I am Babu Wema, professional beggar and part-time fisherman. Finally, with one last desperate lunge, Babu caught it. His hand closed around cold, smooth metal. The very moment his fingers touched it, the world seemed to freeze. The birds stopped chirping. The rushing water went silent. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. Then, with a loud poof, a brilliant golden light burst from the object, surrounding Babu in a warm glow. He yelped, nearly dropping it back into the river. Yeah, fire. No, wait, gold fire. Someone call? Never mind. I am the someone. As he clutched the object tightly, a deep, echoing voice filled the air. It was so powerful it seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere all at once. Babu Wema, the voice boomed. Speak your wish and it shall be granted. Babu froze, his mouth hanging open. His heart pounded like a drum. He looked around wildly, half expecting to see the mysterious stranger again. Wait, Babu stammered. You can't just drop something like that on a hungry man. Let me think carefully. If I rush, I might end up with something useless like a chicken farm. He sat down right there in the shallow water, chin resting on his hand, deep in thought. Maybe I should wish for a lot of food. But what if I get so fat I can't run from the village gossipers? He rubbed his head. Or maybe I should wish for 10 goats. But, goats are stubborn, just like my late uncle's children. He tapped his foot nervously, glancing at the golden bracelet. No, Babu, think big. You don't get a magical talking thing every day. After several long, dramatic moments, he jumped to his feet and raised his arms high. I wish to be rich. So rich that even my enemies will say, we have been defeated. The golden bracelet vanished into thin air with a flash of light. Suddenly, Babu felt a strange tingling sensation all over his body. He looked down just in time to see his torn rags melt away, replaced by a fine, perfectly tailored suit. A luxurious red scarf draped around his shoulders, and his dusty, cracked feet slipped into polished leather shoes that sparkled like the morning sun. Babu stumbled backward, gasping in disbelief. My clothes. Look at me. I am shining like a chief's son. Then, with a heavy thud, a massive leather bag appeared at his feet. It was so large it made the ground tremble slightly. The bag's mouth gaped open, revealing glittering piles of gold coins. The sight was so overwhelming that Babu's knees wobbled. He knelt beside the bag, scooping up a handful of coins and letting them spill through his fingers. This is not just money. This is revenge money. This is insult me now, cry later money. He leapt to his feet, throwing his arms wide and shouting to the empty riverbank. Today, poverty has been defeated. From now on, Babu Wema is no longer the village beggar. I am Babu the billionaire. He paused for a moment, glancing around nervously. Wait, what if this is a trick? What if it disappears when I blink? He blinked once. The suit remained. The gold remained. He slapped himself across the face hard. Ouch! Still here. Good. Then he began to laugh. A loud, joyous laugh that echoed across the river like a wild celebration. Babu scooped up the heavy bag, staggered a few steps under its weight, and declared, my enemies better start practicing their shock faces, because when I walk back into that village, their jaws will hit the ground before their feet do. With that, Babu strutted away from the river, his laughter mingling with the morning breeze, leaving behind the simple, hungry beggar he had been, and stepping boldly into a new life of unimaginable wealth and adventure. When Babu walked back into the village, everyone stopped and stared. Mouths dropped, eyes widened. Even a few chickens stopped pecking at the ground to watch. "Is that Babu?" one villager whispered. "Maybe he robbed a rich man's laundry basket," another suggested. But Babu didn't care about the whispers. He strutted through the marketplace like a peacock. He bought new clothes, enough food to feed 10 families, and even hired a tailor. "Make me 10 suits," he ordered. "And add extra pockets. I have many coins to hide." Within days, he purchased land and began building the most beautiful mansion the village had ever seen. Soon, he opened a shop, then another, and before long, Babu was no longer a beggar. He was a businessman. The villagers who once insulted him suddenly remembered they were his friends. They came knocking at his door, wearing their sweetest smiles. "Babu, my brother," one said, "remember when I gave you half a mango 5 years ago? Now help me with just a little money." Babu raised an eyebrow. "Ah, yes, I remember. That mango had worms." The man laughed nervously and quickly changed the subject. One evening, as Babu sat in his lavish living room, sipping tea from a golden cup, the mysterious stranger appeared again. Babu nearly dropped his tea. You again? You should knock, you know." The stranger didn't smile this time. "Babu, you have wealth now. But remember, riches come with responsibility." Babu grinned proudly. "Oh, I've been responsible. Responsible for eating well, responsible for sleeping well, and responsible for buying 10 cows. The stranger's eyes narrowed. "I mean helping others. Use your wealth to do good, or it will vanish as quickly as it came." Before Babu could respond, the stranger vanished once more, leaving the warning echoing in the air. The very next morning, a poor widow came to Babu's mansion, carrying a crying child. "Please, sir," she begged, "my child is hungry. Can you spare some food?" Babu hesitated, remembering the stranger's words. Finally, he said, "Not only food. Take these coins, too. Buy clothes, buy shoes, and tell your child to eat like a king." Word spread quickly. Soon, people were lined up outside Babu's mansion, some truly in need, others simply greedy. Babu whispered to his guard, These people are multiplying faster than rabbits." Still, he gave generously, and the more he gave, the more his wealth mysteriously multiplied. It sounded like dirty business, known as wash, some people would think. It was as if the bracelet's magic rewarded every act of kindness. 1 year later, the village gathered for a great festival in Babu's honor. Drums pounded, dancers twirled, and the air smelled of roasted meat and sweet porridge. As Babu stood proudly before a crowd, a sudden hush fell over the village. The stranger appeared again, this time in broad daylight. Gasps rippled through the crowd. The stranger raised his hands. "People of this village," he declared, "remember Babu Wema's story. He was a beggar who became rich, not only in gold but in kindness." Before their eyes, the stranger's form shimmered and changed. He revealed himself to be a powerful spirit, sent to test the hearts of men. "Babu has passed the test," the spirit said, "for he shared his blessings freely." Babu grinned, scratching his head. "So, does this mean I get a bonus?" The crowd erupted with laughter. The spirit chuckled too and replied, "Your bonus is a long, happy life." And just like that, he vanished into the sky. From that day on, Babu continued to help others, and his name became legendary. The villagers no longer remembered him as the beggar by the roadside, but as the man whose kindness turned poverty into prosperity. And so, the story of Babu Wema teaches us the simple truth. No matter how humble your beginnings, life can change in an instant, but wealth means nothing unless it's shared. So, the next time you see someone in need, remember, today's beggar could be tomorrow's king.